all of you folks stay here. It looks like it's the end of the show. Let me just... Where are we? Oh yeah, it's this thing. Bam. So next up, we have episode 2 of the Hot Take Roundtable, which is starting in a second. As this match ends, I'm going to get sorted out for that. Join us in a few minutes, and we will be ready to go. We're back with the Hot Take Roundtable, episode 2. After an amazing NXT takeover, really good takeover, I'm going to take myself off monitor actually so I don't hear myself in the background because it really annoys me. But we are joined tonight by 3 fellow content creators, 3 people that I really wanted to have on this show at this point. Uh-oh. Technology is failing me. 1 second. But we are joined by Adrian Brown from the Oh, there we go. As the book. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I'm breaking up. Don't worry. I'm coming back. We're coming back. The technical difficulties I'm doing is because I'm trying to do something a little too complicated. I'll fix it. 1 second. Technical problems always follow me. Coming back. Just need to take this monitor off. And monitor off. Bam. All right, that's probably going to sound a lot better now. So, anyway, from As the Buckled... almost had this ready, folks. Almost had this ready. Let me get my notes out and actually do this properly. So first of all, from Armbar Audio, we have Tim representing Armbar Audio Podcast. We also have Sid, the Nerdy Mark, representing the Nerdy Mark YouTube channel. And we also have... massive friend of the show who has been in so many of my live streams now. I'm surprised that I haven't had him on yet to begin with. And that is Adrian Brown from I keep getting this wrong. As the Buckle Turns. It is As the Buckle Turns, isn't it? All right, let's get him in. Let's get him in here. Bam. Now they should be able to hear you. So do you guys all want to give yourself a little intro? And let's start with Adrian, actually.
At the broadcasting school where I attend, where they gave me the outlet to do this, and been a wrestling fan my whole life pretty much since I was 5 years old. So it was a no-brainer when I came here to start doing a wrestling podcast. Started at March last year around my birthday, and it's my first guest podcast appearance. I'm glad you guys had me on.
Dude, you're totally welcome. Totally welcome. Adrian Brown has been, as I said, many of my chats during the weekly wrestling recaps, and I really wanted to get him on. I really like his voice as well. He's giving me Keith David vibes, so I had to have him on the show at some point. And also next up we have from Armbar Audio podcast, Tim. Tim Farley, do you want to shout yourself out there, my friend?
Oh, I always take a chance to shout myself out. My name is Tim Farley. I do run a podcast with a friend named John called Armbar Audio. I started podcasting on my own about 6 months ago. I've been watching wrestling since I was a toddler. I even trained as a wrestler for about 3 months, but I realized that part of the business wasn't for me. And yeah, I just love wrestling, and I'm super stoked to be here on Fowl Original.
Why, thank you so much, Tim. There was a little bit of confusion at the beginning of this, but it's me being stupid and kind of doing this all on the fly. But yes, thank you very much, Tim, for being here. And also, final but not least, anyway, I don't know, I messed that whole words up. But Sid, the Nerdy Mark, do you want to introduce yourself? You've got a YouTube channel, link in the description. Let me know what you're all about.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, Fowl Originals Nation? I don't know what you call your supporters, Fowl, but yeah, hey guys,
just people.
Sid here. Hey guys, this is Sid here, aka the Nerdy Mark. I do have a YouTube channel called the Nerdy Mark. Go figure. I talk about everything from, of course, pro wrestling, but also comic books, video games, and anime. Hence the nerdy side of the Nerdy Mark. I've been huge. I've been kind of. I'll be honest with you. I've been kind of an on and off wrestling fan, but I said, now that I'm doing this channel, I could be more consistent with my wrestling. But I like to vary my content a lot. I started YouTubing. I guess it's the word. Around February, and then I've been just doing it ever since. And I want to definitely thank. First of all, actually, I want to thank Tim for extending out the olive branch to invite me on the show and for connecting me and Fowl so that we can do this awesome episode together. So great, really excited to be here. And yeah, that's about it. Back to you, Fowl.
Well, thank you very much, folks. So we're going to start off with, for those of you, the way that we did this last time was we just basically went through the card. So I've got a few notes here. Obviously, you guys have been watching along as well. So first up, I've got all your predictions here. So we're going to go through I'm going to give you all of your predictions, and then we're going to see how we did. So first of all, we have from Tim for the first match which we had of the evening, which was the tag team match. The War Raiders facing off against the tag team champions, the Undisputed Era. And we had prediction from Tim of the War Raiders winning. So it looks like he did quite well. And we also... Woo. And I screwed that one up. My prediction was for the Undisputed Era. And we had Adrian's here, Undisputed Era as well. And if I can find Sid's one over here. Sid had the War Raiders as well. So of all of those, I'm going to come to, first of all, to you, Adrian, because obviously, like me, you got it wrong. So what was your reasoning for having the Undisputed Era winning, and what did you think of their performance in the match?
Honestly, between the two teams, I always thought that the War Raiders weren't long for NXT in the first place. So True. My whole thing was, I'm just like, keep the Undisputed Era as the the overbearing faction, keep gold on them in some way. But then I had to think about it when I really thought about it, like Adam Cole's speech about the whole Undisputed Era being draped in gold before the end of the year. So I even sent a tweet out that said this. I'm just like, well, he never actually said NXT gold. You get what I'm saying here?
Yeah, yes, I do.
So I was thinking about it. I'm just like, well, I guess that kind of makes sense if you're going to have the War Raiders win it, but keeping gold on Undisputed Era just made more sense to me because, O'Reilly and Strong without those belts, I'm just like, what the heck are they?
Yeah, like, because it was really weird to see that Adam Cole wasn't in a match tonight. Like,
that shocked me too. I'm like, honestly, to be honest with you guys, I really wasn't too excited about this because there's no Velveteen Dream. I love the guy. So
dude, same page.
It's hard for me to get up for a takeover now without that guy. I'm sorry. It's just that's for me.
Can I ask a question to Adrian?
Go for it.
Is your dad Isaac Hayes?
My dad,
smooth and deep, man.
Dude, I've got coffee here that ain't as smooth as your voice, mate. Like,
That's why I went to broadcasting school. I'm trying to get into voiceover work. You know what I'm saying? Trying to read some commercials, trying to, do some video games. You never know. Actually,
dude, I'd sign up for a mortgage based on your voice, and I don't even have good credit. Like, I got terrible credit. Like, yeah, so
a lot of people compare me to the guy that does the Allstate commercials, but that type of.
Wait, give me a taste of that because we don't know the Allstate commercials yet. So can you give me a reading? I'd love to hear a reading, man.
Dennis Haysbert, he's always like, like, are you in good hands? That guy.
I know Dennis Haysbert, the president from 24. I know him.
That guy.
We got it. Oh, okay. Oh, I like
for real. But for real though, my dad, he's kind of an old school player, kind of like Isaac Hayes. He got that vibe. I'm sorry. No, that's not my dad, for real.
Look, we need to do this, just about you at some point. We need to have a talk about your life someday, man. Like, geez, I want to hear stuff.
That's exciting. Trust me, I'm a late bloomer, so.
No, I don't believe this. But but anyway, I'm gonna move us on to Sid. So obviously you guys both got it right. So why? So we'll start with you, Sid. What did you think of the match? Are you happy the War Raiders won? Were you 100% sure they're going to win? Give us a bit. Oh, Sid, you still there?
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Hey, what's up? Hello? Hello?
There we go.
Oh, got you.
I was on
We got
mute.
you.
I'm so sorry. I was on mute.
Ah, that's all right.
So I am actually driving right now, but I can still talk, obviously. But hey, don't worry, the store's only like 5 minutes away from my house. Anyway,
Okay.
but I love the match, man. War Raiders and Undisputed Era, really good match. I love the way it started out, like, you know, really hot from the beginning, where they both just started going after each other.
Yeah.
I always I really wish this was almost a Texas Tornado match. That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But that would have been fun. And it's not just because I'm from Texas. It's because I think this match really needed that kind of tension. But anyway, great match. I picked the War Raiders because, you know, I think they're really being touted, poised. I mean, for for gold. And I loved Arrow's run with the titles, but personally, I just wanted to see some new faces. Now I'm excited to see where the NXT titles go from here, and I feel like a main roster call up isn't too far for the Era, so maybe that's one of the reasons why they're doing that. And wouldn't be surprised if all four of these guys showed up at the Rumble too tomorrow.
Ah, okay. Well, Tim, I'm going to throw this to you. So obviously, War Raiders, known as War Machine, all over the Indies, New Japan. So looking at that, I know that you watch a lot of other wrestling as well. Like I think you guys were watching Shimmer the other day. I wanted to ask you: do you prefer their work in New Japan, or do you prefer their work here? Did you see them in New Japan? Like,
I did. I think that everywhere they go, they exude the same amount of intensity and the same amount of wrestling acumen. So
yeah,
I think there's no change other than production. I picked the War Raiders because of the production. Lately in NXT TV, we have seen many vignettes that were awesome. The way the show started, with the Vikings coming out and pounding
that was
hard.
awesome.
That
That was
It was
amazing.
fantastic.
oh, dude.
In my notes here, I wrote that the War Raiders, not the Ascension or the Bludgeon Brothers, are the heir to LOD and Demolition.
Ooh.
I also thought one of your Flair moments, Morrow quoted Ron Burgundy, and it totally fit. He said, "Great Odin's Raven," and I almost forgot to laugh because it fits so perfectly.
Missed that, but yeah.
What about the let the bodies hit the floor drowning pool reference, man?
Oh, he was hitting the references
Oh.
all night.
He's Mr. Pop Culture anyway. I mean, he drops those
Yeah.
times, dude.
But
Oh yeah.
but this was the best tag match in WWE I've seen since the DIY versus Revival match.
Okay.
I knew Hansen was very agile, but when he did the back handspring double elbow, I jumped out of my seat.
Yeah.
It was outrageous, and the undisputed. I think that the undisputed, going off what Sid said, I think it would be really awesome and not totally off the books if the four members of Undisputed Era are in at least in the last 7 men of Royal Rumble.
I think, yeah, from what seems to be like a lot of people are saying, and I mean, I would agree with you. I feel like they're going to be in the Rumble. I feel like they're going to come in Shield style, and they can't go in one at a time. It has to be just all of them come in as like Triple H's like dogs of war. Yeah, just walk in and just start doing stuff. Yeah. That would be amazing for all four of them to walk in and like just start. I would like them to almost be like not tied to any brand in particular and just start running roughshod over both shows. That would be amazing because it's something we haven't seen for a long time, Nexus style. But my last question about this tag match is how did it compare to the NXT UK one for the ones that have seen it? Mustache Mountain versus the Grizzle Young Veterans. What would you say is your favorite of the two?
I can't
Because
comment. I didn't watch the NXT UK one, so
that's
no,
right.
No, that is
I,
that is a tough one. Yeah.
but I'd say, yeah, and I'm still gonna say it, the NXT UK one, because I expected less from it. I expect what I got here was what I expected and more. I expected less from that match, and it surprised me. Oh, I guess we're in the store now.
Yeah,
uh,
I am. I'm in the store. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, but
but
for me, I think yeah, I guess like that makes a lot of sense. Foul. I think that's a good reasoning, and I don't know. I guess since I have seen Era and Raiders in competition before, but I haven't seen the NXT UK those guys compete before. That was my first time watching those guys compete. I haven't even seen them in the Indies, so I guess just for
yeah,
that, I'm gonna go for yeah, the NXT UK match, and that too was the crowning of the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions. So it was a very
yeah.
much more special moment in that sense for me.
And I mean, if you guys haven't seen NXT UK, I would suggest, like, for everyone actually watching, go just watch Zach Gibson. Just go watch Zach Gibson promos.
Oh yeah.
I saw him in 5-Star Wrestling, and he was like literally like the flower growing out of dirt. Like the whole of the rest of the show looked like just crud. And there were a few people like Dave Mastiff and a few others, and they really impressed me. Anyway, thank you for that. Well, let's move on to my notes. Say for some reason, I've put NXT tag titles, Undisputed Era, and then, as I said during the stream, because I kept getting them confused, I wrote Hanson Beard, Bro Bold, so I could remember who they were, and Fight Forever, and that, the Undisputed Era were the 2018 Tag Team of the Year, according to the event that went on the pre-show, which, yeah, was a bit weird.
You know, my
Anyway,
favorite part about that match was though,
Hmm.
I love the whole take one guy, hit another guy with a guy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love. Honestly, I think that's how they should handle triple threat matches all the time. I'm like, because there's too many times if you watch a triple threat match per se, is like there's always somebody laying down outside the ring while the other two guys fight. I'm like, pick one guy up, hit the other guy with him.
Sid, I might have to mute you, mate, because I don't want to do my shopping today. I did that ages ago. Can you mute your mic? Just mute your mic for a bit. It's all right.
Yeah.
You can still listen. That's okay. It's okay.
Did you hear what I said though?
Yes. So
Yeah.
you like the fact that that the way that they take one person and hit them to the other side. I love that. That
was the whole story of that match. I absolutely loved it. I was like, take one guy, hit the other guy with him. I mean, I was popping every single time somebody did that. I'm like, I need more of this.
It looks amazing every time they do it as well, and it's like it's the reckless abandon. And you watch them. There was a point in the match when I think Hanson suplexed Rowe into Roderick Strong, and he suplexed Kyle O'Reilly into Roderick Strong, knocking him off the apron. But the way that he just threw him was he just tossed him, and it's just it was some really unique.
Right, and then
there was an exploder.
Yeah, there was the one where Hanson standing on the apron and Roderick like kind of sidesteps and throws Rowe into him, kind of spears his partner off the apron. I'm just like, give me more of this. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about right here.
I think, Tim, what you said about them being the real spiritual successor to Legion of Doom, I totally agree with you. And yeah, Chris, we got Chris Black in the chat here. First time watcher. He's available on Twitter. Made a donation tonight. Thank you very much for that. But Chris Black, he was really impressed by the tag match. The first time he's ever watched NXT. And yeah, he was. I could see he was popping in that match. I could tell. Every single time that War Raiders do that, it's so impressive because they're so agile as well. Like you just don't expect it. Like
when
you watch those two,
Hanson, you do not expect it at all.
And it's like they're polar opposites too. It's like the bigger guy is the agile guy and the high flyer. The smaller guy is the power guy. You know, so it's like
it's crazy. It's
a good juxtaposition between the two, and I kind of enjoy that team.
Every time that they walk out there, you can kind of just see them. Like they walk out there, and you're right. It's like it's exactly the polar opposite of what you would expect. Because if you were told that he's like, okay, these two guys are quite agile, you'd look to Rowe every single time. You would not expect to see Hanson doing what he's doing and having the power.
Backhand spring.
His backhand spring elbow onto both people. Sorry?
Yeah, so no, I actually saw a tweet, and by the way, I just left the store. Okay, so
Cool, cool,
but
cool.
yeah. So I actually saw a tweet. Someone said, why don't they add just because of how agile he is? Why don't they add Hanson to the cruiserweight match at the Royal Rumble and just call him like I think a huskier version of Ricochet?
You know what? That could be like when Samoa Joe entered the X Division and just killed everyone.
That would be great.
Actually, him versus
I'll
Buddy
be okay with
Murphy.
that, man.
That match is money. Yeah. Oh, okay. I know. Good. We're going to move on to the
Somebody
next.
just tweeted something here, y'all. I'm looking. It says DIY versus War Raiders for all the NXT gold.
Oh,
Ooh.
that'd be cool. That'd be good, actually.
I got
actually,
other ideas.
we're going to come back to those later on, but nice. Okay, we're going to move on to the next match. So again, going on your predictions and on mine. Next match up, according to my notes. So actually, before that, yes, no, just these general notes. We had Pete Dunne and Tony Storm in the crowd. What did you guys think of that? We didn't tonight. I was kind of spoiling the rest of the night. We didn't have any of those infamous crowd shots. All we got was Tony Storm and Pete Dunne. What did you think of that? Let's start with Sid. What did you think of that?
Yeah. So I actually joke a lot, and Tim knows this joke, but I joke that Tony Storm is my wife. And, anyway, but so I think that was cool. It's good to see that the NXT UK. Crossing over to the regular old NXT, showing like, hey, there's NXT UK. You should totally watch us because we're awesome. It was great. I liked seeing them there, but yeah, I was a bit disappointed to see like people who they didn't sign, people who they have signed and we don't know about yet. Like there were rumors that Kushida was coming to NXT, and I thought I was going to see him there. But it's all good. It's not like it didn't kill the show for me. It wasn't like a Ric Flair moment, as you say, Fowl. But I thought it was cool. It was good to see Dunn and Storm in the crowd. It was great. Having your NXT UK champions, which is the NXT UK, which is an extension of your NXT brand, it made perfect sense. So. Yeah.
Did it? I'm going to take this to Tim, actually. Do you feel like, though, that it was a bit underwhelming? Do you feel like that made it not feel like a takeover?
Not exactly. I think the thing that saved it was Tony trying to make Pete smile.
Yeah.
That really changed the feeling of, it's Pete Dunne and Tony Storm. I already know them. But I totally get where Sid's coming from. I expected either Shane Strickland or Trevor Lee or Kushida, but the fact that she was so chipper and Pete was himself and she was trying to get him excited saved the whole moment, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Adrian, I wanted to ask, like, as you said, you don't really watch NXT UK, so would that make you want to watch like any of the matches? Would that make you want to go out and seek NXT UK on the network?
I mean, it's good to put your champions on display like that, but to comment on what you were bringing this up for, I'm just like, there haven't been really a lot of high profile, I guess you could say, signings to put on the railing for a moment like this. And that's probably another reason why I guess I wasn't really excited about this. There wasn't really like any build to it. Like I said, nobody's gonna get excited for seeing Trevor Lee. He's from right here, North Carolina, like me. I know, what I'm saying. I've watched the guy his whole career basically, but would it make me watch NXT UK? Maybe it'll make you want to check it out. I mean, I didn't really see the whole entire moment. I missed all what he was talking about, where Tony's trying to cheer him up and everything. But I don't know, maybe it could if you're not familiar with it.
Because because that's what I feel like that's normally really good for. It's to give like all the smarks in the crowd. Oh my God, it's Matt Riddle. But then for anyone else to go, that guy looks quite. But again, like the Kushida thing, like I expected to see Kushida sat out there tonight, and when I didn't, I kind of felt a bit like, ooh, does that mean that he's going to the Rumble? It was good, but it felt maybe it's because we've had so many really big signings come in, as you're saying, Adrian. We haven't had those big signings recently where you can just kind of display them. They're very niche people, like a Trevor Lee. But yeah, just a bit weird. I put it in my notes, so I thought we'd quickly talk about it. But after that, we had Riddle versus Ono 3. So Riddle versus Ono 3. For like, what did people think? I'm gonna come to Tim first. What do you like Matt Riddle? I'm asking this to everyone. Do you like Matt Riddle?
I love the OB, the original bro. I've been following him since he started his wrestling career.
Okay.
The man exudes charisma. Everywhere he goes, he's loved, except another Flair moment when he was coming down the ramp and he was fist bumping literally everyone. Some older woman in the crowd said no. And I was just like, what? I was like, why would you not do that? Like, even if you don't like him, what is wrong with you? But continue, Fowl. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. I was going to say, because you like Matt Riddle, yeah, this is basically something that I seem to get a lot of. And this came from inside the chat today as well. People have heard a lot about Matt Riddle. When they see him in NXT, they're underwhelmed. I'm going to take this to Sid. Why would you think that people are, like, have you seen Riddle outside of NXT? And if you have, are you underwhelmed by his NXT performance? Because I've been kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh, give me 1 sec. Sorry.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, I have seen a couple of his matches outside of NXT. Actually, that's in fair part thanks to Tim. He always is like, giving me some matches to watch outside of WWE. One of the matches I watched was him and Will Ospreay, and that was a damn good match. So I think and as far as his performance in WWE so far, I will say that whatever I've seen of him right now is really awesome, but I do feel it's a little early to tell whether he's like over with the crowd yet, because he's only been here for a couple of months. But I think once he has once he kind of gets out of the kind of the undercard and kind of goes into the more of a upper mid card scene, maybe the North American title scene, I think there people will start to really appreciate the talents of Matt Riddle. But I think this match with Cassius Ohno, this really showcased his array of skills really well. Very short match, but I think it really displayed what Matt Riddle is capable of. So, but to answer your question, Fowl, no, I'm not underwhelmed at all by Matt Riddle. I'm actually very impressed every time I see him. And I tweeted this, that I love his genuine enthusiasm for the business. Former MMA guy comes into wrestling and he loves it. Unlike a certain other MMA/WWE guy who decides to show up only when he gets a paycheck. So
we talking about Ken Shamrock?
Oh, I was talking.
Nice.
Well, no, I was talking about Brock Lesnar, but okay, yeah.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
I have a question about.
Yeah.
Why have you seen any of Matt Riddle outside of NXT?
Yes, so I've seen Matt Riddle. I've seen Matt Riddle's Bloodsport. I've seen his match against Minoru Suzuki. I've seen other matches here and there. I saw some of the stuff he did in Defiant. I've been really impressed with and this is why it's underwhelming to me. I've been really impressed with everything he's done outside of NXT. I haven't been that impressed. Maybe it's just the booking, but I know.
It is the booking.
Because it is, isn't it?
Matt Riddle is bigger than where they're putting him. He said before he was even in the WWE, he wanted to retire Brock Lesnar. Now, a guy who has that kind of acumen behind him, why is he starting at the undercard of NXT? I understand that he needs to learn where the cameras are, but there's greener talent on the main roster than Matt Riddle. So why wasn't he shot straight to the top in the beginning?
Okay. No, you're right. And this is something that I was going to bring up, and I'm going to take it to Adrian. What? Yeah. Do you like watching? Are you impressed by Matt Riddle? And do you think that he is being held down to start with? Do you think he should have got the AJ treatment straight in? Straight in.
All right, here we go. I
Uh-oh.
I
Oh, go for it.
Matt Riddle is good, but Matt Riddle has never impressed me. I'm sorry, it's just like when I see him out there with the bare feet and the long hairs in the trunk, it's just like I will always see him as an MMA guy moonlighting as a wrestler. And
Okay.
that's like I say, honestly, that's just how I feel about it. Like I said,
And that's fine.
I'm not saying he's bad, but he just does not impress me. Honestly, I'm like, if they turn him into some sort of little Tarzan gimmick or something like that, I could buy into it. But this whole moonlighting as a wrestler thing, like I watched his whole MMA career. He got some fight bonuses in the UFC. He was a decent fighter. But at the same time, I don't think he's being misused. It's just like I know he is what he is right now. And it's just like I understand some people think he should be positioned better, but at the same time, you can look like a monster on the independent circuit all you want to. But but when you get to those big cameras, it's easy to see how small, I'm not talking about physical, but your performance actually is. I'm just like, I understand he's probably capable of more, but at the same time, let's see, how do I put this? Like I said, I don't think the guy is bad. Like I think he's fine where he is. He's got a lot more he probably still needs to learn as far as like learning actual performing for television wise. You see, a lot of people think he probably needs to be pushed further because he has this built-in fan base. But that you can probably say that about a lot of the guys who get signed around the same time as he had. You could say that about Keith Lee. You could say that about Mia Yim. You could say that about almost about anybody. But just because you have that built in doesn't mean you should be pushed to the main route. AJ was different. Okay, everybody knows AJ. There's nothing about wrestling AJ needs to learn ever. So putting him in NXT would have been a waste.
But I'm sure that there's people out there who are not AJ fans or feel the same way about AJ that you feel about Riddle.
You're kidding,
I think.
Okay,
I
no,
think.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, seriously, I mean, what he did at TNA, what he did in PWG and ROH and NJPW. I mean, really, you think anybody would think that about AJ?
Us?
Go for it. Go
No.
for it.
Think about it.
Like people like us who follow wrestling religiously, no. But I think there are WWE fans who were exposed to him and probably still feel there's probably a minority that do still feel that way. I wouldn't be surprised because everyone has an opinion and not all of them are the same. And I think there is probably a minority out there that is, they may think that AJ can do everything in the ring, but he doesn't do anything for them.
Right.
But I'm not saying people like us, because people who watch religiously, of course, love AJ Styles.
Yeah, I spoke about this during the last roundtable, and I said that we are. It's unfair sometimes for like who we know in wrestling compared to the mainstream. Now, what I would take from Adrian's point is that got to remember that a lot more, way more people know who AJ is compared to Matt Riddle. Like I could say that at the time that he came into the WWE and at that Rumble, everybody, and you're right, everybody. I remember thinking no one's going to know who he is. But I forgot that everybody does know who he is. Matt Riddle, he's a bit of a niche within a niche. And it's hard maybe. It's hard maybe for people like AJ. I mean, he was everywhere. He was Mr. TNA. You automatically, I always thought that AJ would never make it in the WWE because of that. And that Vince would just put him in, job him out, send him off, bye. But it's shocked the hell out of me when he turned up in that Rumble. But I think if Matt Riddle turned up in that exact same spot, let's say at the point in his career where he is now, he wouldn't get the same response. People wouldn't know who he was. They'd just think he was some weird surfer gimmick that had just turned up. Like, I don't think they'd know. I don't think he would get that same response. And it's nothing against Matt Riddle. It's just that AJ, I think you're right. AJ was a special case. But Sid, I'm gonna take this to you. If Matt Riddle went straight into the WWE main roster, didn't go through NXT, do you think he would make an impact?
To be honest with you, probably not. Because let me be honest, I didn't know much about Matt Riddle until the news broke out that he might have been signed to WWE. So like that's kind of how I really knew. But I mean, yeah, luckily thanks to Tim, I saw a couple of the matches. Like his match with Keith Lee and Will Ospreay. But yeah, I didn't know much about Matt Riddle, and yeah, and he may have been relegated to the surfer gimmick and whatnot. If you were to just show up a la AJ Styles. So, but yeah, I mean, I think, but I do like Riddle though. He is really growing on me. Like I said, his genuine passion for the wrestling business is very captivating. But yeah, as far as to answer your question again, Fowl, I think, yeah, I may not have gravitated towards Matt Riddle as much if he were just, just put into the Royal Rumble just like that.
All right.
Real
So
quick,
last. Oh yeah. Sorry. Go for it.
Real quick, I just think my point was lost. I wasn't saying that he has the the statistics or whatever you want to call it of AJ Styles. I was just saying that the people around the world who watch the product may have that same feeling about AJ Styles. That's all I was saying.
No. As I think what I wanted to ask was, and I think we all know the reason why he isn't being pushed massively to the main roster straight away. And I just want to get that elephant right out the room. Do you think that if Matt Riddle wasn't a blatant stoner, that he would have been straight in the main roster, no messing about, do not pass NXT, straight in, there would have been nothing. But do you think that he's in NXT specifically to wait it out because he might be popped for like an infraction at some point?
No, I think he didn't go to main roster WWE because Paul is afraid of what Vince would do to him.
Yeah.
Honestly,
next, Sid, same question.
I don't think they believe he's good enough. I just don't.
They don't believe enough. Adrian.
I just don't.
Adrian, yeah. Okay. And Sid, what do you think? Do you think that if he wasn't a stoner, that he would be straight on the main roster, no messing?
To be honest, I don't know if that would have been a factor at all. But I think just kind of going off what Tim's saying, I think Triple H has a much better mind for the business, and I think he obviously deserves to be in a place where someone will know where he's worth, unlike Vince, who may or may not have known what to do with him, stoner or not. So, I mean, that's what I have to say about that.
Okay. So moving on, we had, and this at this point I popped. Yeah, Velveteen Dream turned up with 2 women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was very happy. Then I remember thinking, okay, and then in my mind I was like, how is he going to fit into all of this? But he just turns up with 2 women out of a. I thought it would have been more interesting if he turned up with a woman and another guy. That would have been quite fun. But instead they went the safe option. God damn it! And he just turned up with 2 women. But it's Velveteen Dream. We got to see him for a second, and that. What did you actually? I'm gonna ask you. What did you think of that segment? Like, did we need it? Starting with Adrian, big Velveteen Dream, Mark. Let's hear what you think. Was that enough?
I mean, Takeover without the Velveteen Dream. Come on, man. That made my whole night right there. I'm good.
Was that enough? For you?
I'm good.
Amen.
Yeah, amen. Tim, what are you thinking? Were you happy with that?
Not exactly. I was as soon as I saw him, and since it came right before the NXT North American title match, I assumed, since he talked about it on NXT television, that he would somehow be more present during that match, like maybe standing in the crowd and watching intently. I think that it was good on NXT to have him there because Velveteen Dream is a star, and
Yes.
so Was he used properly? Not exactly, but I'm glad he was there.
I feel like we should have had something much more meme-worthy from him in the background, though. That was my disappointment there. I mean, I don't know what we could have had him do, but yeah, at least he was there. And yeah,
something GIF worthy would have been good, because I love GIFs or GIF, however you say it now. But yeah,
GIF, graphic.
GIF.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whatever.
GIF is a cleaning product we have over here. It's now called Sif.
Yeah.
GIF here.
Okay.
GIF over here is peanut butter.
Let me just.
Over here in the
yeah.
in the States, we have GIF peanut butter. So.
As a graphic designer, the correct term is GIF.
Okay, then graphic design.
No, that is true.
Okay, but
the hard G.
People say it either way. It doesn't really matter, man.
Yeah, the tomato,
I sometimes say
exactly.
Potato. Moving on. So yeah, because I'm a big Velveteen Dream, Mark, and I hated that he wasn't on this show. I hated that.
Well, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, sure. Of course you can.
So, I think I was actually earlier. I was talking to Tim about this, but I actually one time at work, one of my non-wrestling friends is a huge Prince fan, and I told him, dude, check out Velveteen Dream. He's basically Prince with a six-pack. And Prince, he was the guy who pretty much got all the ladies, right? And so I think that's one of the main reasons, because basically they're booking him as a buffer version of Prince, and so having two ladies with him I think makes sense. But yeah, I mean I can understand the whole guy. If a guy was there, it would have been interesting, and whatnot. But yeah, I think
they played it. They did play off on that at one of the takeover events. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but he came out with a guy holding his mouth guard and a woman on the other side, and they played the bisexuality ever so slightly. So it felt a little bit disappointing that he didn't have a guy there, just to make it a Velveteen Dream moment. And but what I was going to say, and I said it during the show, was, and this is actually a very quick question, but do you think that anyone else could do that gimmick?
I don't.
That you could see right now.
When somebody's so tied to something like that, you can't really imagine anybody else doing it, especially when they do it so well. You know what I mean?
I think Patrick Clark is a prodigy, and I think that if he was given any gimmick, he would get it over. He and Tyler Bate at their ages are just wrestling prodigies. So no, I don't think I could see anybody else getting that gimmick over, but I could see him getting any gimmick over.
Yeah. Amen.
Yep. I totally goddamn agree. Let's take you on to the next match was for the United States title. It was Johnny Gargano facing off against Ricochet. Ricochet, United States champion, going in. For those of you that watch NXT... Oh, sorry, I've got a new chair here. For those of you that watch NXT... pressed a button I didn't know existed. For those of you that watch NXT on a weekly basis and been watching over the past year, the main story within NXT is of DIY breaking up, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Gargano has been recently, I guess, ends justify the means. He's not necessarily doing bad things, but he thinks he's doing the right thing. This match against Ricochet, it was almost match of the night for me the second it started. What do you guys think of the whole Gargano situation? Starting with Adrian, what do you think of, do you like this storyline? Do you think it still has legs?
Well, in a way it does, but I'm kind of disappointed that Johnny won this match. And because it has to do with, the main event. I know we haven't got there yet, but the thing about it is I enjoy Johnny as the lovable loser. I'm not really a fan of Johnny Badass, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, he playing the lovable loser and the coming so close and everything like that, and having Tommaso pull his strings emotionally, that kind of plays pretty well to me in that faction. Now, the only reason I say that is because this whole situation to me with DIY breaking up and everything, the only way this whole Reign of Terror Tommaso Ciampa thing plays can really get paid off is if Johnny beats him for the title. To me, that's the only way. Like I said, they booked themselves so much into a corner with all that. That's the only way this whole thing can really have a true payoff. So Johnny actually getting a belt, it kind of spoils it for me a little bit. But I mean, like I said, I like the match. I mean, Johnny executing the whole keeping Ricochet grounded thing, Ricochet taking the high risks and showing off his balance and countering everything. The whole story I saw to the match, it seemed to be like they're playing on their competitive knowledge after knowing each other for 10 years and things like that. And
and that was acknowledged during the match as well, constantly acknowledged that these guys had wars.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They were constantly playing that up in the match with like countering each other's things and stuff like that. And even though they're technically both smaller guys in quotes, I mean, they're playing up the fact that Ricochet technically is the bigger and stronger guy and things like that. So, I mean, it was very entertaining. I'm just like, how long can Ricochet do these crazy things?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this guy's ridiculous, man.
I mean, obviously, the reason I came to you first there, Adrian, is because you predicted Ricochet to win this match. Obviously, we know that didn't happen, but I'm going to take it very quickly because it seems as if that was basically everyone's prediction. I think, is that everyone? Oh, no, actually, I've got my notes here. Because I expected Gargano to win because I thought that it would further the story. So that was my prediction. But there was one person else who actually predicted this, and that was Tim. So, Tim, why did you say Gargano? And, like, are you happy that it was Gargano?
I said Gargano because I think Ricochet is being poised for 205 Live.
Ooh.
I'm not happy that it's Gargano. I mean, I don't really feel any sort of way, and this is why. As Adrian was talking about Matt Riddle, I have similar feelings in a different way with Gargano. I am not a fan of Gargano, but I respect that he could tell a story better than 99% of all contracted WWE talent. The guys' matches are so good because they just build and build and build and build, and it's fantastic to watch. Do I like him as a heel? No. Do I like him as a face? No. Do I like his matches? Yes. So I don't feel any particular way for him winning, but I picked him to win because I think Ricochet is going elsewhere.
Okay. Well, Sid, obviously you went for I think I've got you down here as got you as Ricochet as well. So why did you think Ricochet? And okay, so obviously kind of jumping off on that point there that Tim said, I'm gonna keep it going. 205 Live, Ricochet, huh?
I would not mind seeing that because one, I did start watching 205 Live not too long ago because I review NXT and 205 Live, and seeing Ricochet every week on either show is a treat for me. I don't mind if he goes there. I mean, because there are I think he would be a good opponent for Buddy Murphy. Like, I'm just saying. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But the reason I picked Ricochet is actually very similar to the reasons that Adrian said Ricochet, and that was because I wanted the Johnny Gargano to not have a title, and I mean, and still kind of tie into the main, and it kind of ties into the main event. I did want well, I don't know if we should talk about it because it's kind of segueing into the main event, but there's a reason why I picked Ricochet, but if it's okay, I'd like to wait until we talk about Black Ciampa.
Oh, of course. Also, just to keep you guys updated, Chris Black right now is watching Jack Swagger in his MMA debut. So he's in the chat right now. He's watching it on another screen for Bellator. He's going to keep us updated. So let's hear what happens there. We'll be talking about that in the weekly wrestling recap tomorrow in other news. But I have to say, like, Gargano, in my mind, had to win that. Ricochet, I love Ricochet, But as Adrian said, I don't know how long he can keep doing that. And the problem is, someone like Ricochet, he does ridiculous spots when it's not required, and he'll end up getting to a point where he can't do that anymore, and people won't look at him the same way.
But it's what makes him special. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Things.
It is.
I politely disagree.
Like The Rock. Okay, so The Rock said something, ages ago, and I don't know if it was just Rock bandwagoning, but he goes that Ricochet is going to be a future WWE champion. I can see him as a SmackDown champion. I can see it, but and his promo work has got so much better, like so much better. But if it wasn't for the flash that he has, he would just be another guy. And I don't say that in a harsh way. I say that in a, how long can his body continue to do it? Tim, you sound like you're about to break there. Tell me what you're thinking. Why don't you agree?
I just said I politely disagree because
No.
unlike Will Ospreay, Ricochet has lessened his risk that he takes. When we saw him at TakeOver War Games and he did the double rotation moonsault, he had not done that move since the Best of the Super Juniors in 2014. The moves that he does, he chooses because he can do them well and it doesn't hurt him. When he started out as a wrestler, he was taking way more risks than he has now. And I said, unlike Will Ospreay, who is still taking major risks, new risks, and people are afraid of his health. So that's why I would disagree.
Okay, from your unique point of view, actually, your unique point of view of actually being able to work to some point, do you think that but I may say that, do you think he takes, obviously you said he doesn't take that many risks, but do you think that he needs to do, but do you think he needs to do that? Do you think that so let's say Ricochet gets to the main roster, do you think that he would need to do you think he'd stay special, or do you think he'd go the Shinsuke Nakamura route and people would just become desensitized and just go, oh well, if he doesn't do something like that double rotation off the top, then we don't really care?
No, I think that if he keeps his same moveset, people will still be in awe of him. The Shinsuke Nakamura reference, if they would have kept Nakamura the same as he was in New Japan with his moves, his allure would have never dwindled. But with Ricochet, they don't have to do that because it's not strong style. It's just high flying.
Okay. No, was with Ricochet especially, he does tend to split people because there's people that think that he does too much and that he's diluting, he's he's not, his match against Will Ospreay was amazing, not because of the fact that, like, there was a point in this takeover match when he did that kind of Kota Ibushi, the Will Ospreay spot from Wrestle Kingdom, where he landed on his feet, and it was weird because in New Japan it was captured perfectly. In NXT Takeover, he did exactly the same thing essentially, but it wasn't captured the same way. It was just like another snap, 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 snap in the match, and I feel like that whole like he needs to slow down, not because he's going to injure himself, but because I was trying to call part of his match, and I'm like, well, you can't, can you? Because he's just like he's flipping all over the place, inventing things as he goes along, and I think he'd do well maybe on 205 Live, but I feel like that would be a drop down for him. And
the funny part about what you're saying is that Ricochet did the Kota Ibushi spot with Kota Ibushi before Will Ospreay did.
I know, but I know that. But this is what I'm saying, in my mind.
Tonight they tried to do that, but they didn't do it they didn't do it production-wise as well as New Japan did. Like, you're definitely right.
It's just something.
Well, I gotta say, like, so for as far as going to 205 Live, I would not say that's like a downgrade for Ricochet, because in 205 Live their matches
in my opinion, they put on some classic worthy matches every week. As someone who's been watching it for the past few months, I can
Yeah.
safely say that those are some of the best matches I've seen so far on the WWE product. So I think Ricochet, if anything, if he does go to 205 Live, he's gonna have some damn good matches with a lot of the rosters over there.
He
So
could
I don't think,
get the
yeah,
cruiserweight title back on back on the main.
exactly.
I mean, if you put it on that guy, I mean, I
Do
mean,
you
when's the last
think?
time it was on the main roster show? When was it? When Enzo had it? So
I was going to say Adrian. Yeah, actually, yeah. So, do you think
Yeah.
that he could? Do you think that going to somewhere, so like going to a 205 Live, do you think like he could like increase the exposure of the product and increase the because the quality of the match? That's the thing. I'm not saying match quality on 205 Live is terrible. It's just no one's watching. So
only if
Yeah, no, that's
like I
true.
said, only if you give him the belt and he brings it to the main show and he defends it there. Sometimes he could be the guy that can do that. Like I said, I'm not sure if anybody's checking. Like, it's good. Buddy Murphy's like shocked me with what he's truly been capable of being on his own. But I don't know if
always
he's moving
amazing.
the needle exactly like you would think he was for that show. I think if Ricochet was that guy, because my only issue with Ricochet will always be his non-wrestling presentation. You know, so he's a heck of a wrestler, but I'm just like, you'll throw some shades on him, put some of them fancy shirts The Rock used to wear on him or something. Improve his like non-wrestling presentation. Make a character out of himself somehow. And I mean, he could be a real star. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
think
like I like the suits that he was wearing lately and everything like that. That's cool, but
Oh yeah, that's nice.
you know what I'm saying? Like he could be that guy, that smaller guy, that Rey Mysterio type guy that could transcend his weight class, or AJ even.
that's why I see him as a Rey Mysterio, and I think that he could. But you're right, and that's exactly a point that I would have made, like Adrian, and it's that his non-wrestling, and I think that's why on a 205 Live, maybe that could be a time to kind of give him a chance to get a character. I mean, Neville was nothing until he went to 205 Live. Really, he was just another guy, and then.
Yeah.
What happened? He built a character in that time because he was a pretty big fish in a very small pond, and I think but at the same time, it's interesting. It's an interesting thought to think that Ricochet would go to 205 Live. Not any reason because any shade on that, but just because it would feel like a waste. But 205 Live is getting a lot better, and I'm going to leave it there because we could talk about 205 Live for hours. But okay, I'm going to take you to our next match, which was for the Women's Championship. And we had, let's see, have a look at these. We had okay. So I picked Shayna Baszler to win this match because she's so much better than I expected her to be after a few matches. I say it over and over again. That match she had with Nikki Cross is when she was made for me. That was the point she was made. In my eyes. Chris Black in the chat is saying Swagger just won the first round and he's took the opponent down. Oh damn, he's doing all right. And Ricochet was impressive. I heard
R-Truth brought him out to the ring. I mean, to the cage. I saw somebody tweet that.
Oh damn. I really like R-Truth. He retweeted me the other day, and I was so pleased about it. Telling everyone at work, and they were like, yeah, but who is he? I told my brother yesterday, and he was like, talking about Run the Truth Killings. Yes. Now, anyway, I picked Baszler. I'm gonna go to someone who picked Bianca Belair, which happened to be Adrian. So, Adrian, you went to Bianca Belair. Why?
I mean, come on. Shayna doesn't need that belt right now. I mean, come on. I mean, she's done wonders for it, but I'm just like, when you keep building up a story like they have with Bianca, go ahead and strike while the iron's hot. Don't treat her like they did Braun Strowman. Strike while the iron's hot and go for it. Like I said, this girl has everything possible to be the best women's champion they've ever had. She's got that it factor, same as Velveteen Dream. Yep. Period. I said, I was just like, she's going to win tonight. She's going to go on to be the best champion they've ever had in that division. That's a lot of big shoes to fill right there by me saying that. But that's just how I feel about her as a performer. I mean, she invests in her ring gear. Her entrance is awesome. Her music's good. I mean, she performs up to her physical ability. She doesn't overdo it. She doesn't overthink it in there. I mean, she could be a champion for a long time and elevate every single body in that division. And Shayna still has plenty to do with her horsewomen. I mean, they already had something built in for them to when they're with that whole thing with Dakota, Io, and Kyrie. They haven't finished that out.
Yeah.
So she still would have had something to do, even if she had lost the title before she instigated her rematch. So that's my whole thinking behind that situation. But it doesn't really surprise me that she won. I mean, not at all.
Well, see, because I really like the Bianca Belair gimmick. I really like it. I think it's different, but it feels like a bit of a throwback at the same time. And I like the fact that she just has a weapon with her all the time. Like Chris Black in the chat was talking about, he'd never watched NXT before, at like a takeover event, and he said, "Oh, I hope that she uses her hair as a weapon." And obviously at that point we got that sick looking hair whip. Oh damn!
Yeah, it definitely rivals Walter's chops. So
yeah, like she drew blood. I remember just looking at her, I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
So actually, both of you guys, Sid and Tim, you both went for Shayna Baszler. So Sid, why? And give us your Bianca Belair thoughts.
Yeah, I like Bianca Belair. I think she's great. I think she's a very good athlete. I saw her in the Mae Young Classic. I love that I think though using the hair as a weapon, that's honestly it's very creative. In my opinion, maybe it's been done before. I'm not sure, but it's very creative, especially in this age. But I don't know, man. I think Bianca Belair right now, I do think it was a bit early to end her undefeated streak, but and I think me and Tim, we were talking about this. It would have been much better if the match ended in a DQ and Bianca won that way. But the reason I've said Shayna Baszler is because I don't think they were ready to take the title off of her just yet. Maybe they're waiting. They're trying to build up someone else. I don't know who that person could be. Personally, I would love to see Mia Yim take it off of Baszler, but
Yes.
you never know.
Well, they have a built-in story, so that's not being roommates and all. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll see. I mean, that could definitely, Adrian, that could factor into that storyline somehow. Because we've seen that before with AJ and Samoa Joe. In a similar fashion, we've seen that. So I think it could really work. But I don't know. I would love to see. Yeah, I would love to see that scenario somehow. Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler, and Mia gets the title. But yeah, like I said, I don't think backstage is ready to take the title off of Shayna. And I like Shayna too. I think she's badass and whatnot. But like I said, I was ready to see a title change. I don't think backstage is ready to see a title change just yet. So we're gonna have the Queen of Spades rule for a little bit longer. She might show up at the Rumble. Who knows?
Yeah. So Tim,
Yeah.
I'll take it to you. So what do you think that Bianca Belair should have won tonight? I know you said Baszler, but do you think she should have won tonight?
I think she should have won in a DQ. I don't think she's ready to be champion. This takes nothing away from her gimmick or her ability. If you watched closely to the match tonight, you could see several times where Shayna was telling Bianca what was next and what was coming next, what to do next, especially near the end. So it seems like Bianca may not have the, putting together the match and stuff like that under her belt yet. I don't think that it was like a Braun Strowman situation because she stood up multiple times and eventually tapped out, or not tapped out, but faded out. And that was kind of like a harkening back to Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart.
so you think it kept strong?
Oh yeah, I don't think they weakened her at all. I think, and also, you said she has the charisma. Adrian, who did you compare her to? I forget.
I mean, she kind of
Velveteen.
she has an it factor, kind of like Velveteen Dream. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
She
weird.
also has
Weird.
the it factor, like her husband,
Yes.
Montez Ford. I mean, like, why aren't they putting them together? It's weird to me because I think that she could do wonders for that tag team. But maybe it's because she's not there yet. But I don't think they made her look weak, and I thought that this was a great match.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna. You know what, Tim? Yeah, that's exactly what you just said there about the Stone Cold deal, the rising up, the rising down. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Bianca Belair came out looking strong as hell after this match. She looks solid. She looks like the kind of person.
Nobody's fought off that clutch like that yet. Period. If I'm not mistaken. So
right. And like Fowl said earlier, you said that Shayna was made in the Nikki Cross match. I think they both were. I think Nikki Cross came out of that match looking stronger than she ever did, and it was in a similar fashion to how we saw Bianca come out tonight.
Oh yeah, I mean, if that was the first match I saw with Bianca Belair tonight, I would have seen a woman who was pulled around by her hair, used it as a weapon. There was a point in the match that I noticed where she started holding her ponytail, like to kind of keep it away from Shayna grabbing it. And then I saw a woman who held on, like, you know, the first point when she got up, I was like, okay, false, no. And it was like, she didn't tap out. She faded away after attempting to get up as quick as she could. What did you guys think of the ref bump though? Did you think that was needed?
That was executed.
Yeah. I really like that ref, Lady Jess ref. I follow her on Twitter, and like I felt so bad for her because like it was so obvious what was going to happen. And you know when she flipped around and she went to like she was all dazed and she looked fine. I remember just thinking she looks absolutely fine. Like
it's almost like she didn't want to take it though, because she was completely out of position. Bianca literally had to run towards her. It's like she didn't want to take the bump.
Yeah, like it's almost like it
away from it.
Yeah, it's a really weird ref bump as well. Like I haven't seen a ref bump like that. And like, but what I did like about that, and that's one of those, as you said about the charisma factor. Like, so ref bump happens. Bianca Belair gets the pin. She turns around. Now, the second she turned around, she started screaming and just freaking out. Like I've seen people before, you know, like get angry, but it was like instant. Like the second she turned, like that gear in her head turned, and she realized, oh, wait, the pin's not. She just started screaming. She didn't know what to do, and I thought that was fantastic. Like what a reaction in the moment. Like that's that whole charisma thing. That's the kind of stuff you can't teach. But damn, like what a really good match. I think that Bianca Belair has got a massive future ahead of her, and I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see how what happens in NXT TV now moving forwards between those two. So taking us into the final match, your main event, and your main event tonight was Mr. Tommaso Ciampa versus Mr. Aleister Black. Well, I was going to say Mrs. Zelina Vega. I'm going to say it, Mrs. Zelina Vega. So, because Zelina Vega was over as hell tonight when she did a little promo on Johnny Gargano on the pre-show, actually, talking about the match, talking about Andrade, and I was sorry.
Sorry. No, I said, how crazy would it be just because of that altercation? Andrade obviously is going to be in the Rumble. What if Gargano shows up in the Rumble and just goes immediately after Andrade?
See, that would only happen within an NXT storyline. I don't think that the booking would like make sense in normal WWE land. I don't think Vince would know. No, but you know what? It would be amazing, and that would be something that in the new era, if that's what we were getting, actual cohesiveness in storyline on Raw, like on a regular basis, then I mean we'd like that would be something to begin with. But taking us to our main event. No. But the thing is, nobody would notice. Nobody would even notice. They'd just be like, "Oh, they did it one week." I don't want to care. But yes, main event. Looks like we had for the prediction. Let's see. I think looking at it, everyone went for Ciampa. I'm gonna go to Sid first, yeah, and I'm gonna ask this question. Why is Ciampa the greatest sports entertainer of all time?
One, because he, I first of all, I just like the guy. He just seems to like. I think his DIY. I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch much of their DIY run. I know I missed it. What's wrong with you? Stop covering wrestling. I know. Okay, I know. But
Yeah, hang up your
you
boots.
know,
Hang up your boots.
yeah, yeah. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out. Bye bye. Anyway, but I did, but from whatever I think, like Tommaso Ciampa, since turning heel, he's been just like he's just come out of his shell, and he's really rides with this character. That's why I really like him, and I feel like now there's like only so many people in the business that do that, and Ciampa is one of them. Others, including like MJF and Sammy Callahan, I believe. Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that Champa, first of all, like on social media, he still sticks to character, and I mean, he definitely exudes confidence, and he is definitely getting a reaction out of people everywhere he goes, and this is genuine heel heat, and it's not like go away heat like what Baron Corbin has or what Roman Reigns even had, right? Get well soon, Roman.
Yep.
Enjoy your time with The Rock filming the movie. But I think he's been one of those few guys who's been really been able to generate like legitimate, hate for the character, and that's because you love to hate him, and the fact that he, like I said, keeps it not just in the show, but keeps it outside of the show and doesn't break kayfabe on social media or wherever especially in this day and age where it's super easy to. I think that dedication really makes Tommaso Ciampa a very viable superstar for our generation.
Okay, very very nice point there. I totally agree with
I
it.
couldn't say that better.
Well, I'm going to come back to you, Tim, but first, Adrian, I want to ask you this.
Oh,
I want to ask.
Well,
I want to ask
I
you this.
couldn't say it better. Like that's
Okay,
it.
okay.
No. I want to get. I heard that. I'm going to come back to you though, because I know that you couldn't say it better, but I want to give you a chance to. Now, Adrian, what I was going to say was, Ciampa. In your opinion, like Ciampa is a great champion. In my opinion, I think he's great. Obviously, you said Ciampa. Do you think Ciampa needs the belt for now? Or do you think, basically what I'm trying to say is, do you think Ciampa needs a run, like a Pete Dunne epic length run? Do you think he needs that run? Or do you think he's already a champion? He's already like a megastar. Like he doesn't need it.
I think he can be, I guess you could say, the mini Triple H when Triple H was in his prime. See, Triple H, he was good whether he was holding or chasing, but it wasn't until after he had his run with the title that you found out how good he could actually be, carrying like I don't know a feud and even not winning. See, and once this run right here for Champ is over, even if he doesn't have the title, he's developed his character so well, the nuances of it, and I mean honestly, I can just imagine how he would be like attempting to get Goldie back. He'll probably be even more insufferable without the title than he is with it.
Oh yeah. Yes, he would.
Can you imagine what he's going to be like when he loses Goldie? The
Adrian,
Oh.
those are great points, man.
the level. No, think about the levels he will try to dig out of himself to try and get it back. I mean, I'm kind of salivating at the thought of it right now, just thinking about
Oh
it.
my god, yeah.
Me
This
too.
is what I wanted to take it back to. This is what I wanted to take it back to Tim, because I don't think that we've seen anyone like this for a very long time that's also been allowed to run with it. I think we've seen people close to it, like I'd say Mr. Kennedy, someone like that, but they weren't allowed to ever run with it. Do you think that this act could continue on the main roster and he could still kill it? Like, do you think that Vince would see it? Do you think that Vince would see it?
You're asking me?
Yes, Tim. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm asking you.
No. And not because of Ciampa's fault. I think that Vince, like many other NXT talents, wouldn't know what to do and think he's too small and wonder why he has gray in his beard. Um, uh, and like honestly, like whenever I see him, I see Tywin Lannister, and Tywin Lannister was the biggest prick on Game of Thrones. Um, but I mean, like, everything that Adrian said and everything that Sid said is completely correct. He does the little things as well. Like every time he kisses the belt, he doesn't kiss the belt; he kisses his nameplate.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
he
Yeah.
is just so good. If he did go to the main roster, I I think he would flounder a bit, but I think since he developed the character so well, and that the XFL is coming up eventually, he would have he would be able to get over to the lengths he is now, especially if he were to be put on SmackDown. SmackDown seems like the place, and this is um, going back to like the SmackDown 6. It's
yeah.
ever since then, it SmackDown feels like if you can't be champion on Raw, you can go to SmackDown and be champion, and maybe we'll give you another chance on Raw. But yeah, I think that Tommaso, if he were to go to main roster, he would flounder, and not because of his own fault.
Okay. No, I totally agree. I think there's the good thing, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this roundtable tonight, especially, is that NXT Takeover is such a different show sometimes to the main roster that you forget that. I said this when we were watching the pre-show. So during the pre-show, obviously we had the 2018 awards for end of year awards for NXT. And what you saw was a bunch of people who are being used incorrectly on the main roster with video packages of them doing amazing things and being like celebrated for it in NXT. They're not even there to collect the award because they're probably on main event somewhere. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I was watching it and I remember like I saw Andrade and I remember watching it and I was like, oh yeah. The rest of 2018, nah, he didn't do anything. But like, oh yeah, that one time that he did something on SmackDown, let's throw that in as a highlights package. But everything else, it's just different, and I hate it sometimes because you see someone and you don't want them to be called up because the second they're called up, Tyler Breeze is my example of this. Every time I say to someone, amazing gimmick, yeah, great presentation. Amazing wrestler, totally over with the crowd. Send him up to the main roster. You strip all that away from him, make him lose as many times as humanly possible, and then wonder why no one wants to care. Send him back to NXT, and they go crazy for him because he's being used correctly.
That's how Ziggler is.
Yeah. I mean, actually, that's a point. Do you think that Dolph Ziggler would? Okay. Do you think Dolph Ziggler would be Cassius Ohno in NXT, or do you think that he'd be able to be a Tommaso Ciampa, like just totally evolve his character and be allowed to run out there and do stuff, or do you think he'd be the gatekeeper? Let's send that to Sid actually.
Oh, okay, okay. For personally, I think Dolph Ziggler, he definitely is very charismatic. Excuse me, a lot more. And if you're going to compare him to Cassius Ohno, I would say he's a lot more charismatic than Ohno. I think, Dolph Ziggler being moved down to NXT would actually not be a bad move at all. Do I see it happening? No. But, if you were to go down to NXT, I think definitely, he might be relegated to the Cassius Ohno role. But, I think it would be a little bit, I don't think he would stay there that long. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would actually get a little bit more of a push than what Ono is getting at the moment.
We've got some breaking news in the chat at the moment, and let's see from Everything Pro Wrestling. It looks like Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano was on one side of this dispute, while Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet were on the other.
Uh-oh.
Don't know what that means. We'll find out what that means soon enough. But yeah, I totally think that he would be a gatekeeper. And actually, let's take it to everyone. Adrian,
He'd be Tyson Kidd.
Okay, that's yeah. And
He'd
what do
be
you think,
he'd be
Tim?
that guy, what Tyson Kidd was while he was there. That's who he'd be.
Okay, which is not a bad role, really.
No,
You think
not at all.
about it. He was actually probably doing some of the best work in his career down there.
Mm-hmm. That's when I
Okay.
became a fan of the guy for real. So
Yeah. Shoving match after takeover. Oh, okay. So the shoving match that must have happened after takeover. All right. So I'm guessing that in the next few weeks of NXT TV, we're going to see Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano on one side. Oh, maybe they're having a dark match after everything pro wrestling. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So
I think that's what they've been doing on their little loops on NXT like those little tour dates. I think that's the same. I think that's the matchup they've been using. Those six guys.
I think that is the main event, isn't it, of most of those matches? Because I think we've seen those pictures of them kind of standing like, ring to ring. Oh, that sounded rude. Anyway, so I was going to go after dark so fast. I think I've got everyone now. For I wanted. Oh, sorry, Tim. Sorry, mate.
I'm sorry.
I don't think Ziggler would be a gatekeeper. I would see him as more of when Drew McIntyre left WWE and started running rampant everywhere. I think that if they unleashed him in NXT, he would come with a fury.
True, yeah. He'd be so pissed at how they treated him up there. He's like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm just gonna kill everybody.
I think he would work as that as well. I think as the obnoxious ass, he would be amazing at NXT, like full show off, like pure show off. He could rule that kingdom. All right. Well, first of all, obviously, thank you to all of you for being here before I switch into our next quick segment. Now, the problem with NXT TakeOver is I have this little segment called Moments of Flair. Problem is that it's really hard to find bad things in there. So I'm going to quickly take a segment switch. We'll be about 20 seconds. For everyone in the chat, I'm just going to mute you for a second. But I'll be back. We'll be back right now in about 10 seconds with Moments of Flair. So is my mouse working? Where's my mouse? There it is. Quickly go to Moments of Flair. Within a minute. Moments of Flair is not going as well as I hoped it to, but there you can see Moments of Flair at the top. And you guys are back now. So we have a segment on this show called Moments of Flair where we talk about funny things, I guess, that have happened in the night. Now, I have one moment of flair from the evening. Do you guys have anything that you want to add? Facepalm moment, anything? We can have a little discussion about it.
I have one.
Go for it, Tim.
It didn't happen on the main show. It happened right at the end of the pre-show. A couple of things that Pat McAfee said, like he talked about Gargano getting Aleister Black in the parking lot, and he called it like a Toupee Tuesday or something like that. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And then he was referencing Ciampa as an angry dwarf, and I thought he was talking about Sam Roberts. I was like, are you really gonna go that hard on the guy that you're sitting next to, man? Like, what? And then I realized, I put it together, and I was like, oh, he's talking about Ciampa. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, actually, you know what? I have one too in that case. I have
Go
quite
for
a
it, Sid.
few, and I think all of them come from Pat McAfee, believe it or not. I think he was the biggest Ric Flair. I think he was the biggest Ric Flair moment of NXT Takeover this week. This
okay.
Night. I think
I have to agree.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go on.
No, because he like when Bobby Fish came in and he was like just perpetually annoyed with him, and then he kind of stood up on the table showing off his jean shorts for some reason.
I was gonna say that.
I was like,
because
dude,
Bobby Fish called him out on it. Dude, he almost popped Bobby Fish on live television.
Yeah. Oh,
I was
another
like-
one that I would say is when he. Actually, this one comes from Sam Roberts. He was like, "Yeah, it's too early for Bianca Belair to be on Takeover." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What have you been watching NXT? Have you been seeing what she's been doing?" So I was like, "Dude, just stop. Just do something else with your life than cover wrestling. Just please leave us."
I'm going to spin round to Adrian. Adrian, have you got any moments of flair for us? We'll come back to all of them and we'll have a discussion about them, but I want to hear what you guys have got to say.
I mean, not really. Like I said, I kind of said mine. That ref bump was atrocious. That was just
Yeah.
I had to face palm on that one. I'm just like, girl, take the bump.
What the hell is?
I'm just like, what? I'm like, she's standing literally like a 90-degree angle from Bianca. I'm like, you're supposed to take it in the corner. Bianca had to save that. I'm like, please, please, please take the bump. That was a face palm moment for me. I'm just like, in a relatively good match. That's about the only thing I can point out, and it really wasn't the wrestler's fault. So.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's really hard to find them. Okay, my moment of flair for the evening was, but the thing is, it's not really a moment of flair, but I feel like normally it would be Cassius Ohno biting Matt Riddle's toes. What the hell was that all about?
I made a note of that, and I said that you either have to be really committed to your craft or insane. Like,
to bite a man's bare feet in that ring.
I know, especially Matt Riddle. Those flip flops have never been washed. I mean, I don't expect that.
Yeah.
So
he
weird.
drowned himself in Listerine mouthwash after that. So.
I can just imagine like Matt Riddle.
He's probably like, I've done worse. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've been here in NXT for so long. Actually, Cassius Ohno probably has done worse. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Cassius Ohno tends to listen to a lot. Anyway, so that was my main moment of flair was Cassius Ohno biting, but the ref bump. All right, I say we take a vote. Yeah, who we got here? Those open slaps by Matt Riddle had me scratching my head. Who's that in the chat? That's Chris Black. Everything Pro Wrestling. Yeah, the open slaps by Riddle had you slapping your head. Okay. All right, so of all of them, it's my show, so I'm going to decide. So between all of you, like even though Pat McAfee. Okay, I'm going to give 2 in this one. Pat McAfee as just a general moment of flair for the whole show,
Yeah.
And the ref bump, because the Matt Riddle thing is fine, but that ref bump was atrocious, like terrible. Weird stuff. But yeah, your moments of flair for this evening. Now, on that note, we're going to look at wrap it up. So before we do wrap up, first of all, big thank you to all 3 of you guys for assembling tonight, Avenger style. And that's thank you to Thank you. We made it work. Thank you, first of all, to Adrian Brown from the As the Buckle Turns podcast. I'm going to get it right one of these times. I've got it right. First of all, Adrian, you are linked in the description, but do you want to tell us a little bit about what your podcast is about, what you do, where we can find you, and that kind of stuff? You've got 30 seconds. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, you can find my podcast, As the Buckle Turns on all your favorite podcast directories, and I'm on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, Castbox. You can find anywhere. My show isn't very review heavy. It's topical. I just talk about topics in the industry that are just weighing on my mind. I do take feedback. A lot of times I do put it in my shows. So tweet me. If you want me to give out my handle, I guess.
Yeah, please do. Anything that you've got, the floor is yours.
You can tweet my personal account. It's MRAB Brown. Just straight ahead like that. And let me follow me. Usually I follow back if you are a wrestling fan. DM me some suggestions for the show or something like that, and give me a follow. Subscribe. The show does go to YouTube as well. I don't really try and build that up a lot, but it's there because I know people love it. So yeah.
We've got you. Thank you very much, Adrian. We've got you linked in the description for your YouTube channel. Over on Twitter as well. He's very active on Twitter. So if you're there, feel free to drop him. As I said, like all these three people are very active on Twitter, and they're very, very, very audience involved. So make sure you message them. Anyway, enough of that. Next up in the line of lists that we have here is Sid, the Nerdy Mark. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your channel, where we can follow you. 30 seconds. The floor is yours, my friend.
Sure. Thank you, Fowl. First of all, thank you for having me on here. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, as Fowl mentioned, I am Sid, the Nerdy Mark. You can just type in the Nerdy Mark on YouTube, and you should see a couple of my videos pop up. I talk about, like I said, everything from wrestling to anime to comic books to video games. Definitely going to do my best to have more gaming and anime content on there. Look out for Punisher Season 2 review coming out soon, as well as an anime review coming out very, very soon. You can follow me on Twitter at SIDS92, capital S for both of them. You can follow me on Instagram, SidS500, both S's lowercase. And yeah, just really excited, but thank you for having me. And that's it.
Okay, and last but not least, by any stretch of the imagination, it's Tim from Armbar Audio Podcast. You are only part. Yeah, well, I'm last actually, so we could wait. But so I love you all, but Tim, part of the Armbar Audio Podcast. The floor is yours. Please, 30 seconds. Please, just put yourself over, my friend. Put yourself over.
So at Armbar Audio, we do review and reaction videos. We do interviews. We do live reactions, like watch-alongs. We vary our reviews to different promotions every week. Starting this week, we will have two weekly shows. One is called Impressions of Impact by me, Tim Farley, reviewing the weekly episode of Impact, and the main roster recap with my co-host John. He will be running that on Wednesdays. You can follow us at Armbar Audio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Armbar Audio all the way. Also, coming up this year with Sid, the Nerdy Mark, we are having a Twitch channel called Armbar Nerds, where we come together and basically geek out and do nerddom type of things. We'll be doing gaming, we'll be doing anime, we'll be doing wrestling. It'll be a coming together of sorts, as Sid is our third member and we are honorary Nerdy Marks. We decided to create a Twitch channel together. Aside from that, thank you so very much, Fowl. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Sid. This has been an amazing conversation. I loved every bit of it. And that's it. I'm out. Tim Farley.
Dude, I love this. Absolutely love this. As I've said to everyone, I'm going to keep the lines of communication open. I'm hoping that you guys have got something out of this as well, like to be able to meet other content creators. And as I said, I'm going to be doing this on a regular basis. We're doing one tomorrow. Just to let you know who's going to be on that show. We have Chad from View from the Top Rope podcast. We have Omega Luke from the Omega Luke Wrestling podcast. We also have Danny and Mike, known as Broken Mike 316 and Poison Princess, who do watch-alongs as well. And we've been kind of doing watch-alongs for a long time. They do live streams. After their Royal Rumble live stream tomorrow, they'll be joining us via Skype. They are hilarious. And I can't wait for that one either. I've really enjoyed this, guys. I really, really have. And thank you for challenging me. Thank you for making me look wrong every now and then. God damn it, it's what I need. It's what I need. And yeah, thank you for bringing me your real opinions. That's what this show is all about. We're going to be doing this show will be released as a standalone, probably tomorrow once I've woken up, video form, and it will also be done in audio form. Tomorrow, weekly wrestling recap, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, if you like this, thank you, Chris, for joining today. And I think that you've subscribed to a few of the other channels there. That's awesome. And yeah, I just very excited now. I'm not going to be able to sleep. But I'm going to continue this chat with these fellows just for a few minutes. We're going to wrap up after the show ends. But again, I'm going to let you guys say your byes. So starting off with Adrian, sign us out, mate. Sign us out.
Thank you for having us, Fowl. Good night, everybody.
But before anything else, Adrian needs to record me some voicemail messages so that I can put them up, because I don't want to pay someone to do it. And I feel like he's got a really good voice to do it. Like he needs to do my IVR.
That's what I'm trying to get into. So holla at me.
Okay. Yes, actually, if you need a smooth soul voice, yeah, for anything, please, yeah, search out Adrian Brown. Because my God, if I had a voice like that, I wouldn't leave the house. I don't anyway, but. Like, I just talk to myself.
Well, dang.
But, yeah. Now, seriously, look, because seriously, it's smooth. It's smooth like cocoa butter. Anyway, next up, Tim, do you want to say your goodbyes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Fowl, again for having us. One thing I forgot to mention: tomorrow, men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. I will be reacting to them live, so be on the lookout for that on my channel. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I must bid you all adieu. In the words of the best bout machine, Kenny Omega, goodbye and good night. Mwah, bang.
Yeah, and Tim, give me yours. That's it. You can sign us off before I leave for the evening.
Wherever you are in the world, whether it is morning, noon, or night, you have a great one, and peace and love to all of you.
I really didn't expect that. That's good. That's great. I'm going to see if I can actually get us out. How do I get us out? Ooh, what if I do this thing? You know what? I'll just break this stream very, very briefly so I can put up the picture. And then, yeah, we'll just continue this chat on for a minute off the stream, just so that, you know, you guys can give me some feedback and we can just kind of geek out for just one more little minute. But let me just get this working. And then where the hell is it? Come on. I've got a lock. Streamlabs OBS, you horse mistress, you. The problem is if I have video, this whole thing goes crazy. Anyway, as I slowly bring this out, come on, Fowl, you can do this. Done this 100 times. You can definitely do it tonight. Oh, this is going to look hilarious. On that note, this has been a Fowl original. If you liked what you've seen, obviously, give me a like. It really helps me in the algorithm. And subscribe. Check out these guys in the links in the description. And you can join us tomorrow from 8 p.m. GMT for the weekly wrestling recap. And then we go live for a Royal Rumble from 9:30 all the way through. And yeah, just hit me up on Twitter. Also, special evening this evening. I'm officially at 10,000 followers on Twitter. So the dream is a lie.
Yeah, you get a pro wrestling tees shop now.
I mean, that's not what I was always doing this for, but yes, that's what the dream has always been. Yeah, that's it. So merch is
$75.
I mean, I don't have dollars. We only have sterling over here, so I have to get the followers. So, but on that, thank you all for joining. This has been a Fowl original. Thanks for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye.